Is it everything okay? Okay. So I think we have done the previous 3 skandhas, right? The rupa skandha mean the aggregates of the form, and then what else? There's the aggregate of feelings, right? And the aggregate of perceptions. But I'd like to know so far, besides this, maybe the most controversial and the most unfamiliar with people, especially if you study either in party system or either in general, because later on actually this system has been rejected by even Mahayana school. Okay, that is in the one that we call non-information. Okay, but we are going to deal with that later on, because that the more we have to definitely we have to understand the non-information rupa. The Avinyapti called in Sanskrit Avinyapti Rupa. So that has to understand a lot of theory about the karma theory, because that certainly has, well, you could say that actually most of the Buddhist theory and the karma theory is one of the very important theory, because, but say that if you are not from Buddhist tradition, so almost like everything in Buddhist tradition have to explain the karma, okay? If actually there's a way to reject Buddhism, almost like if you want to reject Buddhism, it's to defeat, try to find a way to reject the Buddhist karma theory, basically. But I mean, of course, I mean that the Buddhist karma theory it's not as simple as generally we thought as well. They have a very, very sophisticated system, especially during the later on, because the Buddhism is aware that very well that everything have to do with the karma, So if that system been almost like been break down, and then that the whole Buddhist system get to be a little trouble. Okay. So anyway, so the same thing for Avinyapti also too. I mean, that's called non-information the body, or the rupa, or the material. So we are going to talk that later on. We know a very simple, certain simple definition of it. We know that it has to do with the precepts, and it also has to do with the continuity of a person's, especially when people attend a certain type of meditations, like when they attend a certain meditation of no mind, and so on. Okay. As I said, why it's not very popular, why it's not very familiar people, because later on actually been rejected by not only the so-called school that highly uphold the authenticity from the sutra or sutta, but it's also even Mahayana also, that Mahayana actually itself, of course they believe they are the one who are faithful to the sutta also. So, and then that's why they highly rejected. So that's the reason why it's not very familiar with lots of people when they study Buddhism. Okay. Anyway, so beside that, we are going on. Today we are going to move to one more. This called aggregates. We know there's 5 aggregates. The aggregates of called sanskara, called samkara in Pali, samskara in Sanskrit. It means something we translate as a formation. We're going to have talk about that later. But beside that, I'd like to know, do you have any question about what is the perception been understood as, at least in Abhidharma perspective? Or actually, I don't think they have much difference between Abhidharma and Sutta, okay? Especially Abhidharmika, I don't think they believe that way. But it's true also, it looks like they don't have much difference between that. So do you have any question with regard to the perceptions and with regard to the and the feelings? And of course, even if you regard to the rupa or the material. Do you have any questions with that? I'm trying to find the last notes.
Please.
The last note I have it for the perception.
Do you have it all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I have it now. Okay. Okay, if you don't have question, I don't have one to ask you. So when we talk about the perceptions, I did mention that there are, maybe firstly you can answer me that you can find in the text. Okay, what is perception? What's mean by sanjna in Sanskrit? What does it mean? You might be can find on your text, right? But then I'm going to ask the next question first. But before that, so yeah, go on. What's mean by sanjna? Mean by what's perception?
To understand.
To understand? No.
Understand togetherness.
Your mind contact with something.
Recognition.
No, your mind contact with what? Yeah.
Something. You don't know, but it's something. But
Your mind contact with something.
outside. Like you have an eye, ear, brain.
No, but samjna is yeah. So you might contact with something, you cannot call that as a samjna, right? But you might contact with something that should be called contact, right?
You recognize it.
Yeah, you recognize it. You know, that's important. You recognize it. You know. So what about this text here? The Abhidharmavatara. How do they define the word conceptual? Or recognize it?
I read somewhere that perception detect responses.
Detect
responses.
detect responses.
Yeah, I read it somewhere.
Yeah, but there are so many kind of explanation about that, and that's the reason why it's if you study Abhidharma, not only Abhidharma, even people. That's the reason why those don't think that because people give you one line and that will be the answer, and the people will find other texts say that is not correctly just to define such a way. You know that it's the human nature. If we try to define one thing, and sometimes the people will find that this definition is not enough, or sometimes they find that the other definition is not enough. That's why it's very important when you study, like it is in like Abhidharmavatara. That's how it's good for your future. When you look at, let's say, even in the sutta, or some other people definition, or even some other Abhidharma definition, you must be able to detect, the definition a little different from what I learned in this text, So you have to base on one of the texts, firstly, because in order to, it's not saying that my answer is right, or this text answer is right, no. Just based on the text, you can discern, or you could be able to find the differences between the other, So if you quote a sutra, you can say, according to the sutra, what does asanya mean? That's why. Otherwise, if that's so simple, how can people write a thesis on about fire aggregates? And for the book, one book, two book, three book.
So the conversation is like pre-thinking. It's like more automatic. I have database there, so something coming from that. I feel that way. That you say recognition is more involve cognition.
It does involve cognition.
Huh?
It does involve cognition, yeah. So you look at it, say that, so on the page 80, right, it say, comprehend by combining conceptually the appearance, when you have appearance, nimitta, name, and the signified, and the signified artha, right, of the Dharma. So if you have the name, they must have some, that's a connection going on. No, when I say, the name means I know this is blue color, and I know this is big, and I know that is small, right? That definitely involved in the connection, In a very earlier stage, when you say the perception, it only refer to, I know the color, like this is blue, this is red, this is white, right? But then when your connection become mature, I would say, and then you start to know there is like this is a male, that's a female, and that is maybe that is even maybe you cognizing there's a square, there's a round, right? This is what kind of shape. This is also belong to the sanya too, right? That's name, right? You have the name. Okay, that's one. And second one, anyone? What about sanya? I mean, like a sanya, the perception. Does the perception has the
Sense doors. You have to classify them according. You can identify them.
it always have the sense doors, right? Okay, that's good. Second one. And the third one, when you understand the perceptions, besides the sense door, and one thing is very important also. What has to be there in order to have a perception?
Vitakka vichara. Contact, right?
Vitakka vichara. Anyone does not know the term vitakka vichara? It means the applied dot exam dot. Okay. Vitakka means when I look at a thing and I notice, immediately I contact the thing. And then vichara means something we say examine thought. Okay. First one called applied thought. Second one we translate as examine thought. So and then I more clearly know what it is vitakka vichara. It is true it has to go with vitakka vichara, but on a certain stage, for example, according to Abhidharma system, say that you are in a second jhana, right? You don't have vitakka vichara.
No, you drop it.
So, but then you still know you're in the second jhana. But that's a very complicated issue. But anyway, that's in a way in a complicated way. We're going to talk. I think I don't know whether in this text. I think in Abhidharma course certainly is one of the issue. Okay, it's all right. Yes, yeah.
I just wanted to say it seems like the definition or the description of perception here is more complicated than a kind of more basic description of perception, which I understood as meaning one of the sense doors, say touch, has a contact with something tactile, and then there's a perception made. And it's a very basic level. It seems to me that the description giving here starts to blend in a little bit with samskara, with some kind of formation also happening.
Okay, it is actually blending with the samskara. It is blending in the samskara. I'm going to say that later. That's good point. It is blending in Abhidharma is kind of like blending in the samskara. But you don't, when you say blending, mean it's not included in samskara, but it's blended in the samskara. Well, put it this way, when you say the first one, we learned the two aggregates, the feelings, right? And the Vedana, I mean the feelings aggregates of feelings and aggregates of the, what we call the perception. So actually these two are excluded in samskara, right? But if they excluded in samskara because we talk, there are so many kind of, usually we explain it this way. When you talk that how many kind of the mind, in samskara, so you exclude it. But if you want to say, if you want to talk how many jaidasika, how many jaida means the mind association in the samskara, so you included like for example, like a Pali, definitely Pali system. When you say this, the jaidasika, when you talk about the jaidasika, you included the Vedana and samskara and the perception into samskara, okay, as a jaidasika, as the the mind association, okay. All right, now. Just now you said that word, right? You said when you say the samnya, you mean the perception. The perception has to include what? So just now you say it has to go with the tactic, right? Tactic means the tangible. And then, of course, because of tangible, due to the arises of tangible, what arises? Okay, feeling arises. So due to the feelings arises, so according to one of the texts I gave in the note. So because of feeling arises, what arises? Basically, it said they have 3 conditions, right? Say the root, so-called the faculty, right? And then the object of faculty, and then the consciousness. When there are 3 consciousness arises as a contact, like when the 3 goes together, right, as a contact, because they contact each other, and then the feelings arises. Because the feeling arises, and then the samjaya means the perception arises, right? So in other words, if you based on that text, which is very popular, because that text later on relate to, and because of actually, I remember the samya and samskara. Let me see. Page 7. Do I have a page number here?
No. After the Chinese version.
Perception.
Let me see that verses. Where is it now? Anyone read that for me? I don't have here.
What do you want us to read? Morality, classification, perception?
No, that's one that when the 3 conditions together. I think that time I didn't translate it. But if you can kindly read that for me. Can you find it? Anyone find it?
Is it this one?
Okay, let me see because I turned.
2.4?
No, that only means. Let me have a look whether that's here. What about the notes I gave last time? It was. No. I didn't put that in Chinese. No, what the notes last time I gave it to you? The last note.
Something from Diga Nikaya?
It could be. What is that word? Stop. Can you read that for me?
It says 3 different. Self is growth, self may define, self is forming.
No. I don't know why. It's not.
你拿回去的没有给我们。
我拿回去没有给你们。
对啊，你放在那个桌上面。你要走之前我给你的。中文的响应。中文。
不是中文，我现在要的是一个梵文，一个巴利文的。No, I mean the notes like this, the 6.
对啊，
No, I just that's all I have.
不是在这里吗？
No, what about the last one? There must be something more. That's the last one. What happened with your finger?
割到，糟糕。
That was the last.
They forgot.
没关系了，没有割到很多，看不到流血。
看你。
No, I didn't see it.
No,
That's it.
That's it. That's what we have.
对呀，你自己拿走了嘛。中文。
No, not the Chinese. I'm not so good Chinese. 这个肯定不是中文。
这个就是这样子啊。
What about the Chinese?
你们照吧。
Somebody quick read the Chinese? Can somebody see the Chinese?
No, it definitely is not in Chinese.
Oh,
Because that's
我帮你排哦。
不是最后是不是这个？
不是的。这个的。
对啊，我就要这个啊。
对呀，在这里呀。
我没有啊，你先给我看一下
你怎么会没有呢。
我不知道。哦，不要。Okay.
让我看。
Okay. Yeah. It's
it's the last week's?
So look at it. It said that so yeah, the last page of it. That's called Madhubindika Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya.
Hannibal Sutta, right?
The last one, the last page.
One. 10.
Last page, right? Madhubindika Sutta said that, Chakung avuso patijja rupe ja upajati, chakku vinyanang. And in other words, mean, because of the eyes, so avuso, anyway, because of the eyes, so in the rupa, because of the eyes, the rupa arises, right? And because of in the rupa, because of the eyes, the eye consciousness arises. Okay, and the three together, tindang sangati passo, because of contact, the three contact together. The three refer to the eyes, the form, and the eye consciousness. Because of the three contact together, passa pacaya vedanan, and due to the contact, the feelings arises, okay, Vedana. So young Vedati, this feels that Sanjanati, that percept, okay, that cognizes, right? Young Sanjanati, because this cognizes that Vitakkheti, that will be have applied thought, right? Vitakkheti, young Vitakkheti, because of applied thought, that Papanjati. So that some have, Papanjati is mean, Chinese usually translate as Xilun, okay? But it's a very big topic, discussion in philosophy. Anyway, forget about that at the moment. So how generally in Pali understand as proliferation, right? It means you started to have a lot of going on, the man going on, right? So anyway, young Papanjati, because of this proliferation, tato nidanang, of that, due to that cause, okay, Buddhisang, that person, Papanja Sangya Sangha, anyway, I mean that person perceives, the collection, basically samudara charanti, starts the collection or start to arise. You can, but samudara not only just arise, almost like even collectingly arise. Okay, arise what? Arise is the formation of the perception on the proliferation. Okay, can you understand? Hello, Carl. So and even adita anagata pachupana jakku. So even it's the same way as to the past, and the future, and even the present. Okay, so that's what.
This is based on. The sequence is based
Vijnana
on
Rupeshu.
dependent origination. Paticcasamuppada, the coming together. Is it all coming together rather than linearly, one by one?
It certainly has to do with the dependent arising, dependent origin, like dependent on what. That's why it's always karma, right? Because due to what and what arises, and due to what is not arise, what is not given, so what will not arises, right? Okay. All right. So in other words, so basically the sanya generally understood here is more like you just know it, but then because of you understand, you recognize what more. And then you start to have more proliferation of the thought. Okay, so it implies actually, but I mean I'm not saying this is the only answer. Okay, but that's also might kind of like implies that sanya itself it's not a problem. Okay, that always in Buddhism the problem is always when you think too much. Okay, that's called this papranja silun. That very first of thought is not a problem. So please understand, in Buddhism, there's no asking you not to have feelings, not to have contact, like eye contact with the thing, and then you have the feelings arises, right? First you have contact, but actually they're together. But when we talk about in language, we say what comes first and what comes next, right? But when your eye contact the thing, see a picture, immediately that's there, right? You don't say that, because my eye, now look at this, but this is just a language we describe. But when you immediately look at the thing happened there. Happen what? The contact, the feelings happen together, okay? And actually even sanya comes maybe a little later, like you feel immediately, you know like what it is, okay? So for the primary mean you only know the color. But I believe that, why I believe that, because actually if you look at the sutta and the Buddhist text, it refers to this kind of perception. You know, sometimes it's been understood, of course, that like especially in Chinese, that's why I'm going to ask the question actually. When you look at this here, because since this Sarvastivada Abhidharma, interestingly, you look at why sometimes we understand Agama, mean the Chinese, similar to the Nikaya text, belong to Sarvastivada. Why? Because there are some other texts which in the Pali, they mention the same thing, but they didn't mention like the sanya, they only mention there's a color, like the blue color, that color. Sometimes they mention that as a kind of shape, okay? You understand the color. That's generally mean that you define that you understand the color. But in the Chinese, the similar text there, and they will say, you understand this, but you also understand what we are going to talk about, On the page 80, you also understand there, look at the book 3.1, right, the paragraph 3.1. They say, it is divided into 6 after the 6 consciousness as its case of sensation. Okay, we know that. And then he say, that is when it has only a few objects, it is named a small ideation. Remember, we did learn this one. Yeah, the small, the big, and the akasa means infinite, and then also immeasurable, right? Therefore, because this happened actually even in the Chinese Agama very often, okay? So that is actually I want to bear in mind this idea, but you do find in commentary, okay, in Pali commentary, but in the Sutta, but in Chinese Sutta Agama, but you do find in Chinese Agama Sutta also, okay. And other thing is that the last one, the notes, I want to say the last one we gave the note, say that also, but like in Anguttara Nikaya. Anyone knows what Anguttara Nikaya? Anyway, so the Buddhist texts have early Buddhist texts have 4 big volumes. One is called the Long Discourse, right? One is called the Middle Length Discourse, and one is called the Connected Discourse. Okay, and then one is called Anguttara Nikaya, means that a numerical discourse. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So and then those are the 4 main Buddhist texts, okay, in early Buddhism. So even in the numerical discourse there, so then the discourse regard to the 10 items. So talk about the recognition of the impermanence, recognition of selflessness, recognition of impureness, recognition of danger, recognition of abandoning, and the recognition of the
Dispassion, is it?
dispassion. But I think that's somebody write disappointment. It's not disappointment. It's dispassion. Viraga.
Raga is fading away.
Yeah, and then the number 7, the recognition of cessation, the recognition of enchantment, and recognition of impermanence in reference to all compound things, and then the mindfulness of breathing. Okay, so and they are the 10 like 10 sanya. So in other words, sometimes the word sanya, even in Pali, but this of course you find even in Agama. I mean in Chinese text, the sanya, the perception, mean the word perception, it is cannot just strictly define. Sanya mean a pure perception, okay? So it also can be means concept. You must have a certain, it's called concept. I mean you must, whenever you see the thing, you should have the perception on impermanence. And you should have the perception on even the mindfulness of breathing, the breath, You should have the perception on like a dispassion and so on, so, And so, in other words, mean the word perception, we must bear in mind, most of the time we're referring the perception as just the mere percept, But I understand in that way, mere defined as the earlier stage. But I think the main thing I want to say, they are differentiate from when you have vitakka, means when you have the applied thought, and also when you have this so-called this proliferation. You know, you perceive something, but beyond when I say before happening, there's proliferation. Okay.
Because perception usually relates to memory too. So Buddha is saying, do not go back to associate this with some memory or some story.
The Buddha never say not to associate with the memory.
I mean, but the perception itself, like, can we just talk about perception? Maybe I look at something and I'm like a camera. I'm just seeing that, whatever that is, a picture, black with some letters. But I'm not saying it's good, it's bad, or so is that kind of what he means by just perceiving without judgment, without memory, without association? Is that without, because you don't want the proliferation happening, right?
I think maybe the best to say no. I'm not sure whether without judging. I think because now there's a problem here. Without judging, accordingly, we learn that the word judging is vitarka. It's only when you're in the state of meditation, when you don't have the mind, right? Otherwise, there's some kind of the judging going on.
Yeah, because you have to judge wholesome and wholesome, right? I mean, is this going to be helpful or not? Is it skillful or not?
Yeah, no. The word judging, as I say, is very complicated now. That's a word. Last week we talked also when you say there's a vitarka. Vikarapita, there's a word. But vikarapita, according to Abhidharma system, when you're in the jhana, so the vikarapita will be able to subdue it. You don't judge. So the vikarapita mean in Chinese called 嫉妒分别. That's Chinese term is very, very clear if they use the full term. They don't just use 分别. So a kind of the judging. So when you're in the first jhana, that will be, according to the Abhidharma, I mean Sarvastiva Abhidharma especially, and that one actually is not existed at that time. That's the reason why actually according to Sarvastiva Abhidharma, and learn the jhana is very important. Because when you have the jhana, you at least kind of know what kind of mind is when you don't have a kind of almost like karmical judging, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's not that you're able to understand very well the or maybe I translate as karmical judging. Okay, so because, but no, so no. Let's back to this. Sanya actually the sanya is like if somebody who has a sense or somebody who mind is very sharp or their practice. Let's say. When we look at, normally we look at, we say the attractive thing, right? Normally people look at attractive thing, we think, oh, that's a woman. Oh, she's beautiful, right? And then you start to have a lot of idea, thinking, right?
Proliferation.
That's a proliferation start, right? But the sanya is here, or let's say it's the people who are meditate a long time or when their mind is good, right? So according to the Buddhist context, so when they look at the woman, and he knows it's a woman, and then the projection of that woman is not as a woman, but as the impureness, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's also a sanya.
So you have to see it within the context of the Dharma context, because Buddha said beauty is actually very unattractive. So you have to train an attractiveness of the body to get rid of sensual pleasure.
Okay.
So that's very much within the context of the training.
Okay, maybe that's easier to say. That's true. Okay. What's your question? Why you say really?
Because it seemed to me that proliferation and vitarka would be a formation. It would be a samskara. Beyond just a perception. It's already opinion is formed.
Yeah, but vitakka and prapancha just is a proliferation, and the vitakka is still after the perception.
The formation is kind of reaction.
No. Formation actually means constructing. Actually, formation means constructing. 形印, okay, it means you are 造作为形. So in other words, mean you're constructing.
But you have to construct according to the Buddhist teachings, not on your own perception.
Looks like we are very Greek Abhidharma here now.
Discussion's getting very deep.
No, I think.
Do you know what I mean? It's because if you look at the teachings, you have to stay within the Dharma context. Right?
I think maybe easier to say this. I think always talk it back to meditation may be much easier. Okay.
Let's go back to the Dharma.
When I notice my breath, okay, there's in breath and out breath, okay. Now the breath is what? Rupa, am I? The material,
Yeah.
right? And then I feel the breath. Say, I feel the breath is long, I feel the breath is short. That feel is long, is short. Well, the long is short is a concept, firstly. But forget about that. Feel, actually, you originally used the word feel. I feel the breath. And then I maybe feel it hot, I may feel cold. But because I feel it is hot and cold, you could understand this rupa, the form, had the characteristic as warm and cold, right? Mm-hmm. That is still rupa, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, then I feel the breath is, say, long and short is also rupa, I'm sure, because we defined that already. The rupa, the shape of it is still is a form, right? And then I feel the breath heavy, it still is a form. But then you kind of, if you analyze the people, that is earth, right? Even in the breath, you still feel the earth. You feel the temperature, you feel the earth, and you feel the extension, right? Mm-hmm. You feel the pressure, right? Right. And then sometimes you might be feel a stickiness. It could be, but it's very hard. Okay. But that's the reason why Pali do not put water elements that you could feel. I mean, that's a Pali problem. But in the Sarvastivada, they do. Okay. Say that you might be feel kind of moisture on your breath. So that is a water element. Okay. All right. That's earth. Now, then you feel like you like it, you don't like it. What is that? Feelings, right? Then
Pleasure.
feelings, right? Yes.
Feeling is just, it's pleasurable or not pleasurable. It doesn't have to do with...
Or neutral.
Or neutral, but it doesn't have to do with liking or not liking. Liking is beyond
that's,
that.
thank you for that remind. Yes, actually the best would to use like a pleasurable, pleasurable, or and the neutral. Okay, so you feel that the three kind of feelings are. And sometimes you don't know. But actually that's the reason why people meditate on the breath. When they don't feel anything, they get scared. Because actually they should not. They should understand I'm feeling the neutral sensation, right? But so because when you feel neutral, of course it's very hard because almost like nothing exists, right? When the sensation is neutral. Okay, and then you feel that breath like, say, because you have this understanding already, breath is like this. It's a sanya, right? However, so if you meditate along for a certain time, and then you feel, let me see how to say, you know that's a kind of like, you know it's a long breath, you know it's a short breath, you know the breath is this shape, you know the breath is that shape, what it is?
That's vichara.
Perception.
That's vichara.
No.
Perception.
Can you say that's perception?
I think that's a perception.
So to say that again, you seeing
That's a
the
perception.
the breath being what?
Longer.
Being long and short.
Okay, but I thought that was vichara.
No. Vichara is more than this. Yeah, we think vichara more than this. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. You don't. There's no judging about the good or bad, right? So you just know that, and then also let's say, now I'm going to say further, maybe much easier. So and then when you meditate, okay, that's the first time you struggle. You just know all this, and the next time you meditate again, and then you're able to see the breath change, right? So it means impermanence, right? Now, so you establish a kind of understanding, knowledge, okay? You understand. Oh, the breath can be observed as impermanent, changing. Okay, say that. Now, presume that's happened. Now, then the third time you meditate on the breath again, on the birth again, because, of course, everything have to be conditioned, right? In the right time. That means your mind is good, your wisdom is there, and all these conditions is given. And then you immediately observe the breath is impermanent. That observe the breath impermanent directly is the sanya. Okay. In other words, right? But but through this perception, the same way, through this impermanence of perception, you might be later on, if you have a condition by something, say that your mind have a tendency, because of impermanence, you get scared, for example. There's a tendency. So that scare, and we're going to talk later, like that's what is some scholar now. The formation, there's something brought up, okay? And then maybe you get scared, you say, oh, this is not a breath, so I might be improper, for example. So you because of giving you different condition and without the knowledge or understand what really comes to you, and then this perception, even though you start to perceive this impermanence, that change, okay? Still the perception of impermanence there, but your understanding of that perception itself change, makes you in the prapanja again, okay? Okay. No problem. So in other words, perception is almost like they have different degree of perception, but in the very earlier stage of the perception, it's just simple color, okay, or maybe even a form. But when the perception becomes mature, on an object, that perception can be a mature perception, but without necessarily has to be just a simple color. I think that's my understanding. Because especially when you say in the Sarvastivada, it did mention, so you can have a perception of small perception and big perception, okay? But then with this kind of perception, how later on the formation can interpret it, or in a way how you, let's say I can perceive as that's impurity, right? But then somebody told me, either whatever reason, and just, or whatever my mind was thinking, no, it's not impure, for example. Given for a certain condition comes to me, and I think that way, so my perception will change. Right. Yes?
Can you then have a wholesome perception versus an unwholesome perception? Because what you're describing, let's say, for example, I see an object, like an object that looks like a woman, for example. So that might be unwholesome, maybe an unwholesome perception. Or I can see that same object and I see Buddha. That would be necessary. Would that necessarily make that wholesome? So
I think I know. Actually, your question is in Abhidharma whether perception can be understood as the wholesome and unwholesome, or avyakata or neutral.
Last week you said this
I think
does
it's-
not produce
yes.
either good or bad karma.
Personally,
you said.
you recognize a woman, that's the perception. But when you think about wholesome, then that is not.
You
First you
parts.
recognize a woman, that's your perception, right? But you think about wholesome, that is not perception.
But what I'm saying is that you could have one object that is that's one object, right? But you can have the perception initially could be
No judgment. I mean, just like you recognize that the object, no judgment. I think that's perception. Once you have that judgment, then that's over that the person's perception.
Okay. Now, let's settle down. As I say, because don't forget, every position when you put it up, and then I'm not sure I have to find it. I don't remember whether the Sautrantika also disagree with something. It's it disagree. But anyway, in other words, we are not here. Don't think it this way. Like, oh no, we are learning this. So there's a one definite answer. No, but we just have to. It's good to have discussion. Like okay, there's a perception, but it looks like even perception itself, they have so many people opinion. But for sure that nobody deny one thing. Perception means somebody can recognize something, either by Vitaka Vichara in a very earlier stage. With that, they've been able to recognize something that the blue color, any color. That's no argue with that. But I think there might be, we bring up another story is, anyway, that whether, certainly this perception also trying to mention, it means there's no judging there also, okay? No judging there. So I think that's the few things we come to agree. I don't know. And yes,
Would the word labeling be a good word? Like, for example,
maybe some people
you see this
translate that
object, you
actually.
label it. That's the perception aspect of it. So, like, for example, if you're like you go into a dark room and you see a long object, some people might perceive it as a snake. Some people might perceive it as a rope.
Yeah, it can be wrong one.
That
Yeah.
it could be anything, and so you label it based on your disposition.
So the label is what they call the name here. Yeah, they call the name. Yeah, but I think that of course here they translate ideation. So in other words, I mean you do have the idea, but the understanding of ideation, the idea not necessarily has to go with good or bad. You just have the idea. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yes.
just say that the perception is you set your own target, and you try to define your goal or your tools to reach that your target, to your association between from your past experience.
No, it's not an to your own experience. It's the object. There must be an object, and then.
But you try to focus narrow down your target and define it to the point.
I'm not sure whether you need to narrow down to the target. I mean, you just have to observe something and you know what that is. So kind of like you know it. You know, let's say you know this is heavy. So that material itself as a heaviness is the form, right? Material. But the understanding, the notion of the heavy is the perception. Okay? The notion of the heavy is a perception. Yes, yeah. I don't know why this perception gets a very big topic. I said, okay, good. Please.
Because I want it to be simple. It's true. I'm a visual person, so I'm making the assumption that as we become, or as we practice, our perception changes
Sure.
based on different conditions that
Yeah.
arise, right?
Mm.
So as we, and of course we're looking for that pure perception, because when we see something, when we instantly look at it, we know that it's impermanent. That's pure perception.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but what's in between for me is the part that I'm kind of like, so if you can, and every time you talk in Pali or you say something in Pali, you get lost in it. So if you're able to sort of talk about the different steps, the sanya is what it's called.
Yeah, the perception, yeah.
And if you're able to write it down on the board, so I can write it down.
No, I mean actually it's on the note here, the last one.
I know, but it's still, for me, hard, and I know you read it, and you read it too fast, and then every time you say samskara, and then I get lost.
Okay. Now, since we,
know, but-
no, it's okay. Since we talk samskara, we're back to samskara now, and then we talk the samskara with the perception, right? You know the word samskara, okay? Say now. This is what we're going to read now. It's a Sanskrit word, okay? And then the part is sankara. Okay. Okay. So usually we translate this as a formation, okay? I don't know. Sometimes we translate things also.
As things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other translation? Anyone know?
What?
Just anyone know? Action? Yeah. Even action. You might be fine right. I'm going to talk this later. Okay. Okay. So the word itself is very confusing also, because the word itself. And it's very now confusing. Now let's just say before we're going to talk samskara. Before we move on the text about samskara, we look at the samskara, the word samskara or samkara or in Pali. Okay, the samskara say that's the most famous one is that all, it means sabbe samkhara anicca. Okay, mean all formation is or are, I don't know how to translate, or are impermanence, right? And everyone know that, right? No? Not everyone know that? So on the second one, sabbe samkhara dukkhata. Okay? So all formation are suffering, right? Are suffering. And the third one, but the third one is interesting. We don't say samskara. Sabbe dhamma, sabbe dhamma anatta. Okay? So anattati means all teachings, or all dhamma, not teaching, all things. But this also can translate a thing. All things are no self or selflessness. Okay, that's the most important three verses. Okay.
Anatta means no self.
Anatta, yeah. Why is it so funny? Anatta. Oh, anatta. Wow. No. Anatta. The word anatta is true. Anatta. Not NATA. Okay, with double T. No, actually atta.
Atta is self.
Atta means self. Anatta. Okay. Not TA. Double T. Okay. Anatta. Okay. Okay. Now, so before we so that's if we perceive all formation. Okay. If people perceive all formation as impermanence, this is what we say as the impermanent perception, the perception of impermanence. But that almost like denotes that the perceptions, the words called samjñā, has some other much more meaning than what, as I just say, we understand as normally we think the perception means a simple way of understanding just the color, the very basic immediate contact with the object, right?
But that might be everything, because everything else we added on, right? So confusing ourselves.
No. This I didn't add it. This is sutta say that.
I'm saying.
No, I don't add that. The sutta say this way. No. The second, the sanya also, according to especially the Chinese, when I say Chinese, I don't want to say Chinese, it's wrong. The Sarvastivada, but they do have the base. According to the Sarvastivada version of the sutta, the sanya is not only just like a Chinese called li na zhuo yong. Okay, li na means you only perceive it. Li na. It's not that. So it's also, you could say there is a small sanya, big sanya, and the immeasurable sanya, and the sanya of the inform, of the formless sphere, right? That means ajintaya ayatana sanya.
So what is sanya again? Sort of that pure perception.
Perception.
That pure perception, the different versions of that.
Yeah.
And that's based on levels of practice and understanding.
Yes, and then also you have the level of practice in the sanya, which is the 10 levels of sanya. So or you could sometimes they translate as recognition in order to But the original word is still sanya, means the perception of impermanence, and then the perception of selflessness, and the perception of impureness, and perception of danger. Okay, that you know the danger of it. Like if you have craving, then you can see that how the craving can be destructive to you. Okay, and the perception of the abandoning, then like you know that it's not there, you can cut that off. So okay, and then the perception of the viraga sanya means dispassion. Viraga actually is kind of like no, it's more. It's viraga. It's more like you. The translation, but the word viraga refer to you just don't cling on it. I say, so you don't cling on it. For example, like okay, you might be like to eat ice cream, and then so somehow in the meditation, and then you got sick already after eating ice cream. You got sick, but doesn't mean that you don't eat ice cream anymore. But you didn't see that how much craving you overeating ice cream, right? And then when you meditate, you find that because you were very attached at the time, you even on the way you're eating, you feel that's still not good for your stomach, but you're still eating it, right? And then you meditate, you can see that your craving is really horrible, and you feel like, oh, what it is? I just want to get that kind of taste. That's just a kind of taste. It's very hard to describe. Okay, you want to get a taste, so you just feel like that kind of taste is so horrible. That's what mean danger. You understand the danger, right? By understanding the danger, it's a sanya. It's a kind of perception, and with that, you also find that taste actually can damage you so much that your life can be go off. So you have actually you just feel like I don't need it anymore. I feel that's called viraga. So you find that you can disconnect with this kind of taste. Okay, that's called dispassion maybe. But normally when you have that, then you find that abandoning. So and the abandoning comes afterward. Okay, so we just read it already. And then the number 7, the perception of cessation. Okay, and this is how you understand that the craving has ceased. Okay, basically actually the cease here, so the suffering, you understand that caused you suffering, but then you understand because of days, so cessation means you ceased. Okay, so then you have this the perception of this enchantment with the entire world. This is what we are going to say. Anyway, you don't not attach on everything in the world. Okay. It's not very easy. Okay. Number 9, the perception of the impermanence in reference to all compound things. This is what we're going to say. Sabbe sankara anicca means you understand, you have this kind of perception on all formations are impermanence. Well, generally this is maybe a bigger scale. It's like you see everything actually become impermanence.
So,
yeah.
So these, you read off 8 or 9. So these are levels that you sort of go as you practice.
Yes, yes.
And the more you practice, the more able, and of course you said that last one was impossible, really. Sort of disenchantment of everything.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then the last one, the number 10 one is the mindfulness of breathing. That is also understood as one of the perception. Yeah, because actually, I guess this is my guess. Even though the commentary and the sutta, thank you, didn't mention that, but I guess why he mentioned the mindfulness of breathing, because when you practice that,
16 steps.
not only the 16 steps, I think the main thing you want to say, I guess is 16 steps is just a step to you.
But like a lot of the steps are included in Dhammadipa.
But I don't think you want to link to the 16. I mean, it could be linked to 16, but it was not the point. I guess the point is that because if you practice the breath, you're bound to experience the stop of the breath. So of course then it's a way, because we all actually care about our life. And then, the main thing to understand well about whether you should still care about your life is the breath. If the breathing stops, how do you feel? If the breathing stops, sabbe sankhara anicca, then you are become, at least sotapanna, I guess. Okay. So if you just no fear and let it go and see how it ceases, the breath stop completely, then you could see the nibbana, because the cease, there's no any condition for the breath arise, and you could see that, and without your mind is so steadfast, without any worry, without anything. In other words, you have samadhi. Your samadhi is so strong, and then you have the wisdom to help you. Don't trying to get where's my life, But there's no life. Just only all things are transcendent, all changing. So yeah, you reach nibbana because you see the nibbana at that time. Okay. So that was the breath is very important because people die. That's really one thing. Yes.
Follow-up
Okay.
to that last comment.
Okay.
So when you're practicing your breathing, mindfulness of breathing, you're meditating, and your breath is almost quite shallow because part of it is focus on your breath, focus on your breath. But when it's so almost very, very faint, is that sort of a certain amount of the meditation that you're doing? Because you said if it ceases, then
usually the ceases doesn't mean that when it becomes very dim, very fake. That actually is because when you meditate, you focus on the breath, and so focused that and then your almost like your attention only on the breath or the form, so you're in a certain jhana, but it's not. But usually when we say the breath will goes, it refers to your breath will go fast. And then normally you feel the breath almost like troubling your whole body. And then the breath will start to suddenly top, like you die. You know, like people die, imagine, people die is always...
So you start, all of a sudden you just start breathing.
But you also breathe through your skin. So your breathing stops here, but you're actually absorbing oxygen through your skin.
I didn't say that, okay? Well, I'm just saying that, no.
But it's a shallow.
Don't worry that when you, I need to say this,
So if I fall
no,
over in the temple, then you know why. I start breathing, right?
no, this is the reason why in Buddhism we don't talk it in earlier time. Since we're in the class, we can just, expose some secrets, actually. No, we don't talk that, because otherwise people think about that. Or there's a problem is people even, they want to show they might be very good, and they will just do it. You have all these kind of people, weird people in the world. Don't be surprised, okay? I'm not surprised. I've been seeing enough already. So, and no, actually, I want to say that that's the reason why it's, the story, say about story now, might be true or no. The story, because the people are, if they are the Arahant, for example, definitely they have experienced that many times, not only one time. The first time people might, depends on method you practice. If they practice the breath, it could be. So, and then before they enter the jhana, the first, kind of like before, not necessarily after that they become the sotapanna, mean the first fruit, okay, of the sainthood. But before they have, I think, my understanding, they will experience that. If they practice with the breath, they will experience how someone died. And then they definitely not have fear. If they fear, the breath will go on like, and then again, like that. Even though how much your samadhi is strong, you will, because usually when you practice a vipassana, you have to still back to not in the samadhi stage, right? You are back to, when they say you carry the samadhi power, but you're not in the samadhi. You are carry samadhi power, but you still observe in so-called, in our language or Abhidharma language, mean you are in this the desire realm. The word, meaning the word. So we have to practice with the now in the word here. So yeah, that's the reason why that Arahant, supposedly, there's a story say, why they are so good. They say, okay, some are, especially if you practice the meditation on the breath. But if that's not their object, they cannot do that. Only when their object's particularly on the breath, okay? So that's why the story say, the master always say, have you seen people pass away while they're walking? And the student say, no. Okay, anyway, I will walk there, and when I stand there, I die, So, because he could control that kind of like the breathing. So, not that he cure it, it know that he has to be die, but you know that even in the life, people who work in a hospital, they know that if the people don't want to die, they still can survive longer, I don't want to die. So they keep on, when the breath goes, and they still keep on. But if you ask them, okay, you should be fine, everything is settled down, the money is gone. They think, why I want to stay? Let it. So the mind. But of course, later on you learn, that's also one thing important, because when you practice, you definitely see why you breathe. Like last time we teach in meditation on the breath. So you find, the more you find, actually every time the breath, you take it out, it's your mind pull it out. It's your mind pull it out. It's your mind pull it out, because that's how it's a kind of also a way that you discern the jivita. I mean, you have the life, and then you are attached, you wanted this life. So that's why your mind put it there.
So the breath is the object that you grasp.
Yeah. Okay, we have a break, and then we talk about samskara. So, and don't think that if you don't have that stage, this won't come to you. Don't worry. That means only when your mind is ready, it comes to you. Okay, yeah. Okay. Have a break first. Okay.
Pilot coach?
Yeah.
And I'm me, so I know nothing about airplanes. And I see all these dials. And so I just see lots of dials. It means nothing to me. And that's maybe sanya. I just see dials.
Yes, that's
dials,
right. Yeah.
Now suppose somebody else goes who's a professional airplane pilot. And he just sees these things, but he doesn't just, he dials, he says, air pressure, landing gear, but he just knows it. This is button does this. But is that still sanya? Because he understands more than me.
Yeah.
Recognition.
Yeah, he recognizes what they are because with their knowledge they have.
But even though he has this additional information of, I understand if I press this, then that will happen. That's not then his information is not more of a formation.
No, basically mean it is more, no, yes. If it say that he think no, because that's why we come in information, you kind of more understand. Like if he thinks now, he knows what it is for, right? Like
right.
And then if you think I should do this, and then it will makes me feel I'm better, so then that's formation.
So the fact that he knows what these things mean and I don't know what they mean, it's not a question.
You still both have a sanya, and one you just don't know what it is. You know, but you don't know it as a content like he know more, right? You only know there's a button like that.
Right.
So.
But he just happens to know this additional piece of information, what it does. But that's not part of a formation that he knows this more information.
You could say the sanya group get better because of his. He have a different sanya because of he had a formation. Let him to understand what it is.
But it's still sanya.
Because the very moment that he perceives what they are, it's just on his sanya. It has nothing to do with the karma.
Okay.
Right? But I'm not sure this is the only explanation that's accepted by all. But that's certainly one of the way of look at it, the sanya. Yeah. That's why I say the people can write sanya again and again. But anyway, so we can just put it there at the moment. Maybe in the future we find, it can be more than that. So we can talk. Right. When we talk about samskara, and we know that we look page 81, right? At the rest, I will ask you to do your homework. Okay. First, we understand on page 81 the category of conditioning, so samskara, padartha. Okay. Anyway, it's the chapter on this or the category of the meanings of the conditioning. So look at the paragraph 4, So we must understand, especially in Sarvastivada Abhidharma, which is not in any other Abhidharma, not in Pali, but only in Sarvastivada Abhidharma, there are two kinds of conditioning. So, but in Pali, only one kind. But so if only one kind, you don't have to mention. But there are two kinds of conditionings in Sarvastivada Abhidharma. Later we will learn it when we finish this. Sautrantika agree this thing, but do not think that they are real. Okay, but do not real. But that Sarvastivada take it really real. Okay, so now what are these two kinds? One is called conditioning conjoined. But this is a translation here. With the thought. So that's called citta samprayukta samskara. Okay. Citta means the mind. Samprayukta means 相应 in Chinese, mean conjoined or associated, But you have to understand the word, okay? When you say conjoined and astraya, just give you a little information, but please, we don't want to go there too far away, otherwise, but we're going to learn that in the future. When you use the word astraya, samyukta, samprayukta. Okay. So in English, depends. Sometimes you can translate this because astraya means you base on what or rely on what. Okay, or this is more like you associate to. Associate. Here the translate as conjoin. Okay. And astraya, I don't know. Sometimes we just try relying on, okay. But in Abhidhamma, I think in Sutta also, but I'm not sure yet. But in Abhidhamma, for sure that when you use this term, astraya, in Chinese called yi, in Chinese this is called 相应. Later when you learn about the dependent arising, there's very confusion. you have to be able to discern. When you use the yi, it's always go with the on object, not the other. Okay. For example, my eye is rely on the form to. My eyes rely on the form arises eye consciousness. Okay. But you don't say my eye is associated with the form, so my eye consciousness arises. In other words, when you use this term yi in Chinese, but in Sanskrit, Australia, it's always have to go with the same nature of the thing. Okay, the same like eyes is eyes, but you can say my eye associate with the ear consciousness. Of course, you don't have. Just give you an example. Associate with something, and then so something happened. Okay, so then you don't use this relying on. I don't know. You don't use the Sanskrit word called Australia. That's a problem over in the reader's translation. Very, very problem. Sometimes. So you have to. They have very careful in Abhidharma. When you use this term, and when you use that term, it tells you something already. Tells something. This should belong to the same family. Okay, like the eyes family, but it cannot be the ears family. Okay, but when you use a samprayukta, the term means association or conjoin, implies that it can be not to the same family. It can be the other. They are just they are correspondent together, something like that. Okay. All right. Just give you one hint. So that's why in Chinese the term is very careful. When you know whether people are really come from a really orthodox teaching or not, you just see the way he write. This guy is just no way. Otherwise, then you know that he really study carefully, because that's a very orthodox way of study. Okay. Anyway, so we must understand there are two kinds of conditioning here. So one is that the mind associate formation, and the other one is the mind dissociate from the formation. We must understand the term. When you say the mind, of course, that means it relates to the mind. Associate means it has to associate with what? Associate to the mind. Okay. That's why the other one means when you say viprayukta, when they say the disassociation, so difficult. Disconjoint may be better. When it's disconjoint from where? From the mind. Okay. Samskara, it means it has to be samskara, it has to be formation, but it cannot be other else. Okay. Now, the word samskara, like everyone, if you study Buddhism, we know that just now we say all things are impermanence, right? All samskara, all formations are impermanence, and all formations are suffering, and all things or all dharmas are non-self, right? Or selfless. We learned that that samskara refer here, it's more like a natural samskara, but samskara can be understood many ways. It means something in general, okay? Something in general that include everything, almost like the whole world, okay? The sapaloka means the whole world, okay? But also the samskara, sometimes we use that as the very popular for the dependent arising. Actually, this is what many about, okay? So the dependent arising, when you use a samskara, it's referred to like, because, this is not, here is not necessarily refer to the dependent arising. I need to correct this statement first, okay? The dependent origin arising, due to the ignorance, samskara arises, the formation arises. She should remind me not to use Sanskrit word. Okay. Due to the ignorance or delusion, so that formation arises. Due to the formation arises, consciousness arises. Okay. No, this is the dependent arising. Anyone?
I emailed it to you. You got it. Dependent origination.
Yeah. Basically, I mean there's a 12 links. Okay, the 12 links. So. Yeah, the 12 links. It's we are going to talk 12 links in the future very much, a lot. Okay, but so far, so that is also as the same term in samskara. In that 12 link, when you use the formation, it's been understood the formation as it's the punya samskara means the meritorious, you do the meritorious thing, okay? Meritorious action, or samskara can be understood as action. Say the action, meritorious action, and then or unprofitable actions, what we call abhunya, means anyway, opposite meaning of the. And then one more is called when somebody meditates up to the stage of the form, okay? So mean unmovable action, okay? So when you meditate up to the stage of formless, I think, the formless, so and then that means unmovable. So there are three kinds of samskara. That's a very basic definition in Abhidharma, but of course, don't think this only in Abhidharma. In all traditions actually define the same way, independent arising, okay? But sometimes we add something more, like the formation also been understood as due to the ignorance and what arises. So the formation arises. What it is? What is the content of formation? Not only these three mean the meritorious or without meritorious or unprofitable action, or the unmovable action, but also include that mean the body, the speech, and the mental action there. Okay. So this is one of the way to understand the formation, the Chinese Xingyun. Okay. So it's always very tricky when you learn Chinese or learn any Buddhism. When you look at the samskara, first you must be able to decide which they are using. Okay. All right. Get it now. One is mean all things is impermanence. Of course, independent arising, it doesn't apply there. Okay. It's not going to say, all because due to ignorance, so all things are impermanent. No. That formation is not applying there. That formation applied there is mean because of ignorance we produce what we act. We have this meritorious action or non-meritorious action, or we have this so-called unmovable action. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So because of those actions, so we produce consciousness. Okay.
So the unprofitable action means neutral or the opposite to
No.
meritorious?
Here, the formation, you were talking which actions?
The second, unprofitable.
Of course, unprofitable definitely is the unwholesome.
Unwholesome. It also includes neutral.
No, it's always unwholesome. Unprofitable, definitely unwholesome. Yeah. But the neutral one, that usually the unmovable one will be understood as a neutral one. Okay. Now, and then also the samskara, the term, the formation also been understood as something about, bhava, mean existence. Okay. Somebody have a long life, they can live like ayusma samskara, means people have the life of the formation. So, and then that's been understood as a kind of a continued existence. Okay. So, and that's one. And of course, sometimes, which is more difficult, I don't think since the time is not enough, we just want to say, some other time is that when you say samskara, you have find the term means sa samskara, a samskara, mean with the samskara, without the samskara. Okay. Normally, it just simply denote understand as with the samskara means with the effort, without the samskara, without effort. Okay. So you get it now? 所以有形无形哈，或者有形无形 in Chinese sometimes understood as mean with the effort or without effort. Okay, but also means depend on the context. Sometimes also mean 无形 is also referred to. Sometimes means people who have who reach the nirvana without the remainder. 就是无疑 sometimes they link to that. But anyway, so. But of course, that still means without effort. Okay, when I say without effort, it's not a bad thing. I mean without anything that you should do, you do anymore. So sa samskara refer to something you still have to do. That for sure. I mean with the formation, it means that things are still going on. So with the effort you have to do. Okay. Now, the next one I need to ask you to go back to do the homework. Is that now look at this the 4.1, okay? And then we must also understand all these samskara, that means the formation and the feelings and the perception are belong to the mental, okay? right? No question. So they just separate the two. We talked about why they separate the two, So because many, when you say about the formation, it is have a very basic idea, understand that it had relate to the mental part, and this mental part has to do with the karma, okay? Because when you say the samskara, the formation, it has always go with the relation, right, in the sutta. The jedhana, the word called jedhana means the relation, so the intention, the relation, okay? So that's why samskara is a big topic, okay? Now, what you have to do is go back is that write down this all samskara. I think it's on the page, because last time we did ask you to read it from 4.1, right, up to 4. I think up to 4. It's very long. But actually, those are long list, because we're going to talk about a long list. You have try, make a chart on the long list. You know what I'm saying? Try to make the chart on the long list, like, what are they, what are they, what are they, what are they. And then from 82, like 4.5 says, and relation is 1, right? 4.52, 4.5.2, right? Maybe easier for me to read, mean 452, okay? On the page 82, 452 is mean the contact. 453 is a predilation.
Isn't that kind of desire?
It is a kind of desire. But then it would define what it is, okay? And 4.54, so you have a look of the list, okay. And then yeah, it's the list is normally. Yeah, you check on the list and understand. Just check on the list. Just write down the list, and then it's much for the content, the explanation. So you need to know, and then we are going to talk explanation. In other words, it's something like this. They have some group that like they have to be there all the time. So for example, when my eyes look at something intensively without any other thing, say that I have my mind with applied thought. So I must have actually at least 22 kinds of the wholesome what do you call this one? Mental factors, yeah. Mental factors there, okay. What are these 22 kinds? You don't have to learn by heart, don't worry about that. It's just actually it's very similar to Pali in this way. It's mean the formation here been understood as, formation mean, actually the original word formation means creation, okay, constructing. So, but in Abhidharma here, so in order to understand what constructing, what are constructed, or what are the cause, or what are the things constructed, so it been grouped that all these mind factors in this kind of category, okay. Say, when I have this thought, some other thing appear, but the other thing will disappear. When I have other thought, some other thing will appear, and some other thing does not appear. Just like you have a water, you make a juice, right? When you say, I make a juice, you constructed a juice, then you have lemon, ice, say, sugar. When you make some other thing, you have salt, or the milk, or what. But then, of course, sometimes the milk and then the milk and the salt, is it milk and salt? No, the milk and the sour lemon don't go together, so they never appear together, okay? But some, they always there, like water should be always there, maybe, I don't know, maybe sugar always be there, and something like that. So that's what I want to say, that at first must understand there are so many elements there, so like a component in the formation, okay? Like you're making a certain thing. So that's why it is constructed, that's why it's called formation, okay? Hello? Everybody want to sleep now? You don't. You can go back to sleep now because we're done. So I guess next class it won't be very much. I don't know whether it's difficult, but I mean, to me it's not very difficult. Basically, I mean, it's just only to talk the. No. It's just only talk about the content of it. Okay. No, just now I said that the 4.2 is about the Alayana. Those are very difficult. We will jump that later. Okay. Okay, I appreciate if you have a question and write to email. You don't get it what?
I was just looking at this chart from several weeks ago, and it indicates there are 44 China.
Yeah.
But before, no, 46.
40.
And then some.
Did I give that chart? Yeah. Sambrayukta Samskara is the 14. It's a different one.
It says there's 46 here, but then 44 there. Where are the other two?
The other two is the Vedana and Samaj. So Vedana and Samkhya.
Those are their
Yeah.
own things.
No, but as I say, when you talk about Jaida, you include them. But if you talk them in terms of just a mind, you exclude them. You get it now? Okay.
It's 46 here and 44.
Because these are also two.
The Jaidas, yeah. But that one is the Abhidharmakosa, okay? That's the Abhidharmakosa list. Yeah. So we are going to look at whether they have a similar list. Yeah.
They don't depend on one. You have power.
Oh, it's doing the transfer marriage now? Yeah.
Exactly for me, you know. Law, yeah.
月至上课功德，普具一切，我等于众生，皆共成佛道。
Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
One more to teacher.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Sure.